Thank you. I appreciate the help. Trying to get this going so you won't be here all night. Okay. Well, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed your meal. How about a nice round of applause for the staff here at the Havisham? They do a wonderful job. They're very cooperative and receptive to anything we ask of them, and I'm glad you all enjoyed it. Tonight, each of the inductees will be introduced by a member of the Hall of Fame committee. These members carefully reviewed all of the candidates who were nominated and selected, and this group of 8 people were chosen based on their outstanding credentials for this induction. They will join a very select group of people who have already been inducted in the past years. Some of those people are in attendance here this evening. Could I please ask all of the past Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductees to please stand at this time and be recognized? We have quite a few of them in the audience tonight. And if I could ask, and I did this last year, but I'm going to do it again this year. If I could ask George Greer and Coach Stellitano to just please stand for a second. The reason why I'm singling them out again is because of people like them that we have a Hall of Fame, because of their accomplishments many, many years ago. They created the traditions and the accomplishments of the Westerly High School athletic program. Both George and Coach Stellitano were in our inaugural class back in 1999. So this has been going on since that time, and they were a special group that was inducted that year because they deserved that recognition of being in the first class. And George makes an effort with he and his wife Becky to come up here almost every year that he can to be included and take part in the Hall of Fame event this evening. And we greatly appreciate that, George, because I know that honor means as much to you as it means to all the inductees this evening. So thank you again for coming all the way up from down south and being here with us. And of course, the legendary Coach Stellitano. I'll let you sit down, Coach. I can still talk to you. I can still see you. But he is, obviously, with one of the gyms at the high school being named after him, and all his many awards and accomplishments as a coach and also as an athlete. He is the oldest living member of the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame. So congratulations. And we hope to see you here at many, many more of these events. Tonight's inductees will receive citations from Westerly High School, as well as citations from the town of Westerly, the Rhode Island House of Representatives, and the Rhode Island Senate. We would like to thank Westerly Town Clerk Donna Giordano, the Westerly Town Council, State Representative Sam Azzanaro, and State Senator Dennis Algier for these citations. They all send their congratulations. Each inductee will also receive a desktop award and a photo of tonight's class, provided by Steve Sasasimo of Granite Photo. Their names will be engraved on the Hall of Fame plaque that hangs in the lobby outside of the entrance of Federico Gymnasium at the high school. And a picture of tonight's Hall of Fame class will also be on display near the entrance to the gym. I would like to thank the Gurley Jewelers for their help with these plaques, as well as their as well as the construction class at Wesley High School, who provided us with the plaques that hang on the wall. Filming tonight's banquet is Shane Belanger from Westerly Live. And I'd like to also thank Dominic Lombard, who greeted you here this evening with myself when you came into the Havisham, and we assigned you your table to sit at. He's a Wesley High School student, and he was here this evening to help out. I'm very proud of him. He's also my grandson. Now his mother won't get mad at me. Special thanks go out to those people listed in your program, and please take a look at that, who have made financial contributions to the Hall of Fame, and to the Wesley Community Credit Union for their continued support and sponsorship of tonight's event, and also to the entire Hall of Fame. Please join me in a round of applause thanking all of these people. And lastly, a big shout out to Deanna Fallon and Denise Boulay from Wesley High School for all the work they do in preparing the programs and coordinating tonight's event, from correspondence to ticket sales to finalizing all of the citations. Without their efforts, tonight's banquet would not be possible. Thank you, Deanna and Denise. And now to our induction ceremony. In order to be considered for the Hall of Fame, a candidate must have been out of high school for at least 10 years. The candidate must be a Wesley High School graduate, coached at Wesley High School, or made a significant contribution to the Wesley High School athletic program. Okay. There will be a commercial at this time in Westerly Live, and then Shane, let me know when we're back after the commercial. We back? Okay, we're good. Again, athletic awards and achievements during the high school years and beyond are considered for selection, as well as any personal and professional accomplishments. This year's inductees have certainly met these criteria. The class of 2022 is made up of record holders, MVPs, all-staters, all division selections, college athletes, distinguished coaches, respected professionals, and much, much more. You will certainly be impressed with each and every one of them as they are introduced and their citations are read. Our first inductee is Frank Tate, and introducing him is committee member and Hall of Famer Bob Caradillo. Bob? Let me give you the citation. Do you have it?
I have it.
Okay.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. As Coach said, Hall of Fame night is one of the best nights of the year. It's one we all look forward to as we get to bestow some well-deserved honors on some of the greatest athletes that have ever competed for Westerly High School. Being in this group of men and women is a special fraternity. We share a unique bond. When you think of the number of athletes who have participated in athletics at Westerly High School, to be selected into this group is indeed a select company. Both honored and privileged to be both a member of this great Hall of Fame and to serve with my colleagues on this committee. I had an enjoyable conversation with Frank Tate this week. Never met him till tonight. I told him the other day I was looking forward to shaking his hand tonight and meeting him, and I'm very glad that I did. The first thing that struck me on the phone with Frank was his humility. His accomplishments on the football field in the late 40s and early 50s are certainly Hall of Fame worthy, but we talked mostly about his teammates. A couple of games, my dad, and who from his large extended family would be attending this evening's banquet. It was a very enjoyable 15-minute conversation that we had. So, Frank didn't like to talk about himself very much, so I got on the phone with somebody who was more than happy to talk about Frank, and that's John Leach, the legendary John Leach. John was more forthcoming about speaking about Frank's accomplishments than was Frank himself, of course. John related to how Frank carried the team in his senior season. He talked about in one game versus a high school in New Haven, I don't know if it was Hill House or who it was, Frank, but John said that Frank carried the ball for about 80% of the team's offensive plays. So that relates to about 40 to 50 touches on offense in one game, which is a pretty busy afternoon. John spoke also of how sensationally well Frank played in the 1950 Thanksgiving Day game versus Stonington, which was the last game played at Craig Field. John was most proud, however, to call Frank an honest and hardworking guy and a great friend. It takes one to know one, too. I was pleased to meet Frank and shake his hand this evening, as I said, and I'm honored to present him for induction now. You, Frank C. Tate, Jr., were a tremendous football player for Westerly High School. You were a member of the class of 1951 and were recognized at the time as the best and toughest football player on the team. You played football for all 3 years at Westerly. However, it was in your senior year that you excelled the most. In many of the games that year, you were a one-man show. You were a triple threat. You could run, pass, and punt. Not only did you do all three exceptionally well, but you were a punishing runner who was very difficult to tackle, and you earned the reputation of being an aggressive and fierce competitor. You dominated the headlines of the Westerly Sun whenever there was a write-up in the newspaper of the football games. You were described as a flashy, chunky star.
Nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all. Not at all. When you scored both when you scored both touchdowns and kicked the extra point to lead your team to a 13-6 victory over Stonington in the Thanksgiving Day game your senior year. Earlier that season, the newspaper called you a hero in a losing cause when Stonington defeated Westerly in the Armistice Day game. In another game your senior year, you scored twice, once on an 85-yard kickoff return and kicked an extra point to defeat Hamden. However, the article was filled with praise for the 170-pound, hard-driving halfback from Westerly High School named Frank Tate. In a 25-12 win over Fitch High that same season, you scored 2 more touchdowns. And finally, in a 19-0 rout of Classical, your bruising style enabled you to get into the end zone twice more. You certainly deserved all of the accolades that were heaped upon you that year, and eventually led you to being selected honorable mention, All-State, and awarded a football scholarship to URI. After your high school, you played 1 season of semi-pro football with the Norwich Ramblers, and you were in the Army from 1952 to 1954. You have had several occupations, including working at Electric Boat, the George C. Moore Company, and doing road construction. In 1987, you retired from the U.S. Postal Service after a 28-year career in which you rose to the position of Assistant Postmaster in Westerly. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model and in recognition of your many accomplishments to which you have brought pride and fame to Westerly High School, In addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Frank C. Tate Jr., are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
I got a little speech written already, but most of it was said by Mr. Cavalier. But I want to thank Principal Holden, Chairman Morano, Athletic Director Fedolino, Selective Committee, Ms. Carr, and Mr. Cavalier. Hall of Fame members, welcome to the 23rd Westerly High School Athletic Induction Ceremony. Thank you for my, I don't know what it I played football 1948, 49, and 50. I played halfback on offense and defense. And when I went to get my equipment, there were no shoes my size. I needed a size 7.5. And I got a voucher and went to Burdick Sporting Goods to buy my shoes.
I heard that story already. Burdick Sporting Goods.
I'd like to tell you about 2 games, but Mr. Carradillo already related to them from John Leach. The thing was that I had never kicked an extra point, and Coach John DeGanchi, God bless him, says, Frank, I want you to kick that extra point. I don't know how he found out I know how to kick any, but I kicked it and made it. That's the first and only time I ever kicked an extra point. The game at Stonington, we were losing 6-0. And finally I scored a touchdown and ran for the extra point. Well, they had a drive coming down the field toward our goal line, and I was playing defensive halfback. I saw the end come out and get behind me, but he was stopped. So I knew I could cover him. And sure enough, the pass started coming to the receiver in back of me. I just stepped back a couple of steps, and I took the ball for 60 yards for a touchdown. That's still a record. After that game, the team picked me up, carried me off on their shoulders, and Coach DeGangi gave me the game ball, which is in the one of the whatever they are up in the school. Display case. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my good friend John Leach. He prodded me into the hall, saying I believe I belonged in the hall. Finally, he asked me for any clippings that I might have. Well, he took them to the committee, and the rest is history. I got a fish story to tell you. On January 17th, 1938, I was 5 years old. I was skating on Blackbird's Pond. If anybody don't know where Blackbird's Pond is, it's near St. Sebastian Cemetery. I saw kids fishing, ice fishing. When they left, and I was curious, so I went over to see the hole in the ice. I didn't see anything, so I started banging my finger on the ice that was forming in the hole that they had left. And whammo, a 9-inch pickerel had a right on my finger. I jumped back and the fish was on the ice, and we finally put it back into the hole. That's true. I played basketball and baseball in junior high. I went out for basketball at the high school. Dave Stenhouse and I were horsing around, which is usual. We were playing one-on-one full court. I sort of bumped Dave into the backboard, the pad under the backboard. And at that time, Coach Federico opened the door. And he saw me banging Dave into the wall, and he says, "Tate, get your butt out of here." That was the end of my basketball. Thank you.
Like Robin, tonight was the first time that I had the pleasure of meeting Frank Tate. And as he walked in the door, I said, "Hello, Frank, my name is Jim Moreno. Congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame." The first thing he said to me was, "About time." So, he's still pretty. Before I have Bob Caradillo introduce our next inductee, I just want to tell a brief story. The year was 1964, and I was a 14-year-old kid who had heard about this organized football league that was going to start up in Wesley called the Wesley Pee Wee Football Program. And I was so excited because at the time, we couldn't play high school football as 9th graders. We were going to get an opportunity to play organized football. So we went out and played, we went out for the team, and lo and behold, my first coach ever was Denny Marie. And I was very fortunate not only to be able to play organized football, but to have Denny as my coach. Because he took a group of ragtag 14-year-old kids who had never played organized sports, molded us into a football team. We went undefeated that year and won the Pee Wee Football Championship. And even though I learned a lot of football from Denny that year, along the way I've learned some football from some other people too. But there's one or two things that Denny taught me that have stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I'll always remember Denny being the one who taught me how to be competitive. But he always said, don't just be competitive. You have to be competitive and enjoy it. You have to have fun. And those are the two things I always try to exemplify, both as a player and as a coach. You have to really be competitive, but you have to have fun and enjoy doing it. So I thank Denny for that, and I'm so happy that he's here this evening for his induction into the Hall of Fame. The other thing I wanted to mention was that you never know how an award like this affects people and how it affects them differently and how it extends beyond the limits of Westerly. We received a letter just this week. I'd like to read it to you. Please accept this check on behalf of Hall of Fame football coach Frank Beamer of Virginia Tech in honor of 2022 Wesley Hall of Fame inductee Denny Marie. Coach Marie epitomizes what I see as a successful coach. His integrity, organizational skills, and ability to communicate are what I view as essential, not only in a coach, but every individual who seeks success. It is quite obvious that Denny's athletic experiences at Westerly were essential in his career as a whole. Congratulations to Denny and his wife Lisa and all of the inductees and their families. All the best. Frank Beamer, head football coach, Virginia Tech from 1987 to 2015, College Football Hall of Fame inductee in 2018. Thank Coach Beamer, Denny, for us. And I'd like to turn the microphone over to Bob again to introduce Denny.
Thank you, Coach. I have so many memories of Denny that I could share, but I'm going to share 3 quick ones. I first met Denny when I was 8 years old in 1970. When Bobby Gingerella and I were the bat boys for the old Hilltop Twilight League baseball team. That was 52 years ago. Denny was one heck of a baseball player on a team full of terrific baseball players. I do remember that he was number 1 on his uniform. He played second base and outfield, and he could flat out fly. When I was 12, along with Rich Capuccio and Charlie Vaca, Denny coached me in my first year of Pee Wee football also, just like Coach Morano. We were winning a game late against Groton, I think, and we were trying to run out the clock. Denny knows this story. He had me run a quarterback keeper around the end. Well, one guy stood me up, another stole the ball from me and ran the other way for a 50-yard touchdown. I like crying on the field, and Denny came over to me and comforted me. He said it was his fault. He took the blame. I knew it was my fault, but Denny, like any good coach, even though I lost the game for us, Denny to this day will still take the blame for it. He refused to throw his player under the bus. I've always appreciated his loyalty to me as a young athlete. I learned accountability that day because of his compassion for a crying kid, and I have him to thank for that. The last story was in a high school in 1978. We were playing Charahoe in basketball at Charahoe. Nicky was the assistant coach of that team. And it would be the first time Westerly had ever lost to Charahoe in high school basketball. Denny and Mr. Henderson, Tom Henderson, were the refs that night. And I thought Denny made a bad call. I still do. Sorry. It's your night, but I got mouthy, and Denny teed me up. I felt terrible. Eva Dupre, a former English teacher who was a phenomenal teacher, sat behind our bench every game, and she let me have it, let me tell you, when I went back to the bench, as did my dad after the game. Needless to say, I issued Denny and Mr. Henderson a heartfelt apology after the game, and they both gracefully accepted. They were class guys, for sure, Mr. Henderson and Denny. So, Denny is a lifelong friend. I've always looked up to you, you know that, and I'm proud to present him for induction this evening. You, Denny Marie, a 1960 graduate of Westerly High School, have distinguished yourself as an athlete and a coach your entire life. Beginning in high school and up to the present time, your accomplishments on several athletic fronts have been quite impressive. As an athlete at Westerly High School, you played football and baseball, earning 6 letters and being selected captain of the baseball team your senior year. In your junior year, you were one of the 3 Westerly players chosen to participate in the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Injury Fund All-Star Game. That same season against East Greenwich High School, you allowed only 2 hits while striking out 17 batters, including 13 in a row. And you earned a spot on the Southern Division All-Rhode Island baseball team. As a pitcher your senior year, you gave up 1 hit and pitched a no-hitter for 6 2/3 innings against both Bishop Hendricken and East Greenwich. In football, you were a 3-year starter as a running back, kickoff returner, and defensive player. Your junior year, you were one of the top scorers in the state. You had 10 games where you amassed over 100 yards in total offense. You had a total of 5 touchdowns over 60 yards from scrimmage. And you had several kickoff and punt returns for touchdowns. Your greatest game was against Mount St. Charles your senior year. You carried the ball 13 times for 300 yards and scored 3 touchdowns on runs of 67, 75, and 77 yards. After graduation from Westerly High School, you attended the University of Rhode Island and Roger Williams University, earning a Bachelor of Science in Physical Education. Also after high school, you began your football coaching career starting in 1964 with being one of the founders of the highly successful Westerly Pee Wee football program, which is still in existence today and is recognized as one of the best high school feeder programs anywhere around. Not only were you one of the founders, but you also coached in the program, mentoring mentoring many players who went on to have successful careers in college and high school. However, the story of your coaching career does not end there. Your desire to move up the ranks took you beyond the boundaries of Westerly and to several different locations throughout the country. You have coached football at St. Thomas More Prep in Connecticut, Brown University, the Coast Guard Academy, Trinity College, Virginia Tech, Kent State, and Marietta College. You were also an assistant coach for the Roanoke Steam Arena Football League and worked many years at the John Dockery Joe Namath football camp. You have authored several publications on various aspects of football, and your knowledge of the game is greatly respected by others in the field. Today, you and your wife, Lisa Jo, live in Blacksburg, Virginia. You are retired as a college football coach, but still work in the athletic department at Virginia Tech University. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model and in recognition of your many accomplishments to which you have brought pride and fame to Westerly High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Denny Marie, are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Danny. Congratulations.
Here you go, brother.
Where's Mark DeGans? I gotta put him on. That's kind of an inside joke. When I was officiating, Mark told me Danny Marie can't see, but now I need him, Mark. But I'd like to thank you very much, Bobby, for that. I guess I never realized the accomplishments as time goes on, but I'd like to congratulate all the inductees this evening, the past inductees that are here, and obviously my teammates and friends that are here to support myself and the other inductees. I'm really thankful and I'm really grateful, obviously. You know, it's an honor and a privilege to be recognized. And it really wouldn't be possible without the coaches and incredible teammates.
they put me in a position to be able to stand here this evening and receive this recognition. But honestly, I played team sports. Positions that I played, it was impossible to do it alone. And whatever awards that I received, it has to be shared. And I mean, the people before me that blocked and all that did good things, you know, they deserve as much credit as I did. I just happened to be in the right position at the right time. At our high school, the teachers, the coaches, administration, if you go through the years, they've actually prepared our young men and women academically and athletically to be able to succeed at the next level. And that's been through my years in school up until now. I haven't been in Wesley for quite a few years, but I still keep in touch with people here, and I really know what's going on. But there's some people that exceeded that. When I was coaching at Brown, I had the opportunity to coach Steve Caffer, who graduated from Wesley and went to Brown. And that also included Bobby Carradale, Joe Mixie, and Larry Cloutier. I also coached those kids. And to see them go on to an Ivy League situation, it's pretty exciting. But it really wasn't what we did or I did as a person. It's what our community did. It's what our school system did. What our coaches did. That's what got them there. That's what coaching is all about. I think sometimes credit is given too much to a coach. It's the players. If you lose, yeah, coach might be responsible. But too much credit in this day and age is given to coaches. These kids work their tails off, and they deserve the credit. My first coaching was Coach Morano and Matt West were the first two young men that I coached. And they were excellent, excellent kids. But what's important is now, you know, I know Jimmy's career and Matt's career, they become very successful professionally. You know, Matt coached at Wesley High School for a number of years. Coach Morano also, and also became the head coach. That's what I see. That's what's important to me. Now, the levels that you move up, W and L's, mean a lot. I mean, we win, I eat, we lose, we don't. You know, but that's the thing. I played with some really great athletes. Wesley's a small town. But you go back, at the time, maybe 12, 13,000 population. But we have two guys, Dave Stenhouse, who went on to play professional baseball. Pitched in an all-star game, had a great career. Came out of Wesley High School. I know my teammate in Little League, George Greer. Coach Greer, over 1,500 wins as a coach at the collegiate level and a professional level. George finishes his career as a hitting coach with St. Louis Cardinals. How good is that? We got two guys from Wesley that are major league players and also went into coaching. That's great. And I had an opportunity to coach for Coach Stenhouse at Brown, coach baseball for a year with him, which was excellent. And the athletes I played with, Maury Lamb was probably one of the best athletes that I'd ever been associated with. Jack Carson. I had one no-hitter in my career, and Jack Carson absolutely called almost a perfect game. You know, I got the credit. He deserves the credit. You know, he read every batter and put me in a position to do that. But what's important to me is the people that took me and taught me, because there's something that I always told our players. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. My dad was my first coach. He taught me how to throw, catch, hit, swing a golf club. He did it all. And that was at 8 years old. But I was fortunate throughout my career, from Little League up through high school, to have really, really good coaching and good teammates. In baseball, in high school, I had 3 coaches. Coach Mudge, who gave me an opportunity early, Coach Miller, and Coach Wright. On the flip side, I had Coach Stolatano and Coach Pelletier. But we had a coach that nobody really knew. You ever heard of Coach Capizano? See, Coach Capizano wanted to change our offense a little bit. We were in a double wing, and that's kind of stale. So when Coach Stelly would go in for basketball practice, Jimmy would draw up plays in the dirt, and we would put those plays in for Saturday. So he became another coach for us, which was excellent. And there's 2 special memories that I have. I was part of a team and a teammate of Nicky Stenhouse. And I don't think this is ever broken. I don't think it ever will be. Nicky struck out 38 batters in 16 innings. That's amazing. I mean, I don't believe anybody ever 38 batters in 16 innings, and they were both one-hitters. Unreal. I played with a quarterback, and this is totally biased. This is strictly me. I think I played with the best quarterback Wesley High School ever had. And I'll tell you why. In the late 50s, early 60s, offenses were a single receiver and a tight end, and 3 running backs. Hardly ever threw the football, but Jimmy threw for just under 1,000 yards in his career. Nowadays, you have 10 personnel, which means you got 4 wide receivers. You have no backs and 5 receivers. I mean, there's not an offense that goes out there without 3 to 4 receivers. And he would have set every record they ever had if we threw the football. And I was part of that. And that's, that's special to me. Everybody here this evening, appreciate you all being here, obviously, to recognize, who you're here for. But, my family's here, and I'd like to, if I may, my wife Lisa Joe's here, and my 3 daughters. My daughter, and I'll start from the top. My daughter Lisa and her family, Toby, Sean, Amanda, and her husband Chris. My daughter Lori and her husband, and my 2 grandchildren, Sam and Tessa. Kelly, who can drive you crazy, and her family, Dana and Zachary. So, to all the families that are here, you all should be proud. And I was talking with Coach Morano, I was excited as heck. So I'd like to leave you with this. Life is a circle. The end of one journey is the beginning of the next. And I'd like to give a shout out to my son Chris, who's in California, and his family. You know, Lisa, Maddie, and Josh. They couldn't be here this evening. I think we're taping it. I wish he was here, and I know he has some of his friends here, Alan and Bobby. But thank you all for this opportunity.
Here you go, Dan.
Oh, I get to take that with me?
It's all yours, brother.
Thank you, John. Appreciate everything.
Dennis, good job.
Thanks. That means a lot.
As, as a member of the Hall of Fame Committee myself, I get to introduce our next two inductees. First one that I'll introduce this evening would be Doug Randall. And I apologize to Doug already for the mistake in the program. Doug is not as old as he looks. That's according to his sister. He did not graduate in 1960, he graduated in 1966. And I was very fortunate to not only be in school at the same time as Doug, but I played football with him. He was a couple of years older than me, because even though you might not believe it, I am younger than Doug. And then our paths crossed again when we were both at URI. I played for a brief period of time my freshman year, and Doug was on the varsity. And then I got smart. I looked in the mirror and I saw how big I was, and I decided to go into go another direction. But I still remained active with the football team as a trainer, and I got to watch Doug play at URI as a linebacker, and he was one of the best and toughest players on the team, which I knew all along because he was like that at Wesley High School. I've also gotten to know and be around Doug a little bit throughout our lives here in Westerly, and I know of his accomplishments as a businessman and as a human being. And I have to tell you, he is one of the most humble, generous, and respected individuals that I know in the community here in Westerly. And I know that there are many people that were very pleased when we announced that Doug would be inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening, because he is most certainly deserving of this award. So Doug, congratulations, and it's my honor to read your citation. You, Douglas Randall, a 1966 graduate of Wesley High School, were a main contributor to arguably one of the best 2 or 3 football teams in the history of the school. Tonight, you join your coach and 11 of your teammates in the Hall of Fame. You were a defensive standout your senior year, earning all division honors. You were also a member of the Wesley High School track team that same year. However, it was as a football player that you earned your glory in both high school and college. You had a reputation as a fierce hitter and someone who was difficult to block. Your athleticism as a defensive end and linebacker allowed you to excel as a tackler and pass defender. It also contributed to your ability to block several punts your senior year. Your individual accomplishments as a player certainly had much to do with your team's undefeated record that same season and its ranking as one of the top teams in the state. After high school, you attended the University of Rhode Island, and you were a 3-year starter on the football team. You earned several honors while playing at URI. Twice you were nominated to the All-East Weekly team, and you were selected as URI's Defensive Player of the Game 3 times. After graduating from college, you were invited to try out for the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League, and you also served 1 year as a volunteer coach back at Wesley High School. You have continued to support both the Wesley High School and the University of Rhode Island athletic programs, and your involvement in community events and projects is well known. You are one of those people who give back, and tonight your accomplishments as an athlete and person are being recognized. After many years as a successful business owner and realtor, you are retired. You and your wife Lorraine live in Westerly. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model and in recognition of your many accomplishments, to which you have brought pride and fame to Wesley High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Douglas Randall, are hereby inducted into the Wesley High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
I forgot what I was going to talk about. I will try and make it a little quicker than I had. I mean, I had it down to 8 minutes. I'm going to try and get it down to 7 minutes and 59 seconds. Can you hear me back there?
Let me make sure that's on.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
There you go.
Is that better? A little bit, yeah. Okay. You know, I want to thank everybody here, especially Jim. You know, I'm going to cut it down a bit, but I've got to say about you is that you're a great football coach at Wesley High School, but you know what? You've done so much for the town, and I really appreciate that. I know you well, and I know you've done a great job for this area. I started at Wesley High School, and I played my sophomore year in football. Okay, that's enough for that. Then I was a junior, and I was taller, bigger, faster. So I've got one little story about that, and that would be, I don't know if anybody here remembers George Buck. Yeah. George was very big, very fast, and I was a running back and a defensive end. And so we were having a scrimmage. And so I was going to be the blocking back, and we were going to throw a pass. And I saw, after the ball was snapped, I saw George coming in at me. And he was coming in fast, and he's huge. And so I waited till about 3 feet, and I went and hit him. And he ran over me. I mean, I was like I was the wind. I mean, he didn't even stop at all. So what happened after that was, I got up and I go, well, I'm so embarrassed. And not only embarrassed, I'm mad. And so that night I'm thinking about it, and it's a scrimmage, Doug. I mean, that's how you get better, and that's how you think better. And so I never let anybody do that to me again. However, I never saw George again either. So just got a couple more things. I was in that junior year, I was injured a couple of times, so I was still playing, but I was I wasn't playing as much as I thought I should be. And there was a guy there who was a senior, and he came over to me once, and he said, Doug, is there something wrong? How are you doing? And his name was, Kevin Wool. I get teared up when I think about it. I'm sorry. Kevin was one of the greatest guys, and he stayed with me. He was my mentor. You know, I'm a junior. He's a senior. He was an all-state defensive back. He was just one of the most greatest guys I had ever known. And so he went on to URI, and he started on the freshman team, and he was a great. He started, and then in spring practice, they made him. He was going to start this next year as a defensive back in the varsity. But what happened is at the end of the spring, unfortunately, he was not driving, but he was in an accident and died. And, excuse me. And I know that if he was still alive, we would have been best friends for our lifetimes. I'm sorry that, but I think some people know Kevin Wall. He's one of us. So let me get on to something else here real quick. Okay, so we were playing East Greenwich, and we were undefeated. We were 8-0, and East Greenwich was 7-0. Can you still hear me? Oh, okay. Just checking. And so two good teams, and we go at it, and now it's the fourth quarter. Half the fourth quarter's gone, and we decide. They come around, they get the ball on their own 20-yard line, and they run a sweep, the side I was on. And then, you know, they've got guys blocking for the runner, all this other stuff. Well, I go in, and then the linebacker behind me comes in, then the safety comes in, and we all hit at the same time. And I'm on the ground, and I see the ball. It's right there. All I have to do is low crawl as fast as I can to get that ball. We'll have it on the 20-yard line. We're going to score. No. So the game ended, and it was 0-0. Everybody was still undefeated. They were, and we were. But, so I thought about it again the next night and said, well, you know, if I could have only gotten that ball, we might have won the game. And then I forgot about it. But for 55 years, I had nightmares. And you know, I'd be asleep, but crawling for the ball. And, you know, to this day, I haven't asked my wife of 51 years, Lorraine, where were you when I was doing all that? So, and again, I'm going to, so here's my father's story. My dad he went to URI, loved URI, he was served on many committees, things like that. I mean, he loved them, they loved him. So I was being recruited by other schools in New England. And so it was early spring, and I'm walking down the hallway in our house, and Dad's coming the other way. Now, Dad's 6'4", and he said, son, where are you going to college? And I go, oh boy. You know, and UConn was really coming after me strong, and I go, UConn. And he goes to me with his finger on my chest. He goes, your ass, you're going to go to Rhode Island, you're going to like it. So anyway, thank you, Dad. because I'm glad I went to URI. And I have other thoughts up here, but it was interesting that when I went to URI, and was starting on the freshman team with Gary Capalvo, John Barato, Sal Morano. So, and I had a great 4 years at URI, and I enjoyed coaching at Wesley High School, and I think it was the team where most of them were sophomores, and then they got undefeated when they were seniors. Those guys were good. But if you're in my class, forget I ever said that. All right? Are we good? Thank you.
Take your award. Congratulations, nice job. Our next inductee this evening, John DeGangi, comes from what many of you in the audience know, who've been around a while, as probably one of the premier football families in the town of Westerly. John's dad was a legendary coach at Westerly High School. His two brothers, Mark and Paul, played at Westerly High School after John had graduated. Mark's in the Hall of Fame. But all three of them all earned the same type of reputation. Not only were they tough, but they were fierce competitors and they were leaders. I'm going to read John's citation, but I know off the top of my head that he captained the football team at least for 1 year, if not for 2. And during that time, no one stepped out of line because John made sure that, as Bill Belichick says, everybody did their job. That's the way he was. And it's probably why he had such an outstanding career as a professional once he graduated from college. Linebacker University is a nickname for Penn State, but the DeGangi family could also be called the linebacker family because, you know, that's the type of hard-nosed people that they were when they were at Wesley High School and led to many of the accomplishments that the high school teams, football teams, experienced during those years. I remember even prior to John going to high school and even after he graduated, he still had that fire and desire in him. He would show up at the old field on Ward Avenue on a Sunday afternoon, and he'd be there without pads on, and we would tee it up, if you will, a bunch of guys that love to play football, and regardless of whether you played in high school before John or after John, he earned the nickname Tough as Nails, because that's the way he played and that's how he made sure that if you were his teammate, you played the same way. So it is my honor, because of all your accomplishments, John, both as a football player and as a person, to read your citation and to induct you this evening into the Hall of Fame. You, John DeGangi, were a two-sport star in both football and track at Wesley High School. A member of the class of 1971, you were co-captain of the football team, playing linebacker, guard, and fullback your senior year. You were considered one of the strongest and toughest football players in the state at that time. As a junior in 1969, you stood out in the Thanksgiving Day game by making 26 tackles on defense. You were chosen by the Stonington Police Association as the outstanding lineman of the game and was awarded the Carl Millimacky Trophy as the best Westerly lineman for the season. In your senior year, you won these same 2 awards for a second time, along with being an all-division selection and a unanimous choice to the Rhode Island football coaches all-state team. In receiving your All-State Award, you were described as one of the most feared players in the Interscholastic League, and your coach, Jim Galuccio, said, "You were one of the finest all-around football players to come out of Westerly, and you were highly respected throughout the state." As a track athlete, you also won several awards your senior year, including a third-place finish in the state, Class C shot put, and second place in the javelin. Following your graduation from Wesley High School, you served as an assistant coach on the Wesley junior football team under another one of tonight's inductees, Denny Marie. Your team won the CLCF championship with a record of 7-0. You then attended the University of New Hampshire, earning a 2-year degree in 1974. You then started your career in the field of hospital food services. 30 years later, you were awarded a 4-year degree from Worcester State College. You finished your career in 2014 as an administrator at UMass Memorial and UMass Medical School in Worcester. You live in Charleston, Mass. and have been married to your wife, Debbie, for 46 years. You have 2 adult children, Mike and Laura. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model, and in recognition of your many accomplishments, to which you have brought pride and fame to Wesley High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, John DeGangi, are hereby inducted into the Wesley High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Bathroom break. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Public speaking is not my forte. I never really did very well at it. So I have some notes here, and I want to talk about some of the things that others have talked about tonight. But mainly I want to congratulate first my fellow inductees and all the inductees from the past. Also, Jimmy Moreno and the committee that inducted me into this hall. I'm humbled and honored to be recognized and included in such a talented group of athletes. I'd like to recognize my wife, Debbie, of 46 years. In high school, she played GAA basketball, which is Girls Athletic Association. That was before Title IX was in place. Title IX is what brought women's sports into the world of high school athletics and college athletics. I wanted to tell you that currently she's still playing basketball in a senior Olympics team at age 69. She and I got started coaching our kids in elementary school, and we had a lot of fun doing that. I also have a son, Michael, who is a phys ed teacher at Millbury High School in Millbury, Mass. He coaches cross country and track. He played basketball and track in high school. He's not here tonight because he's coaching his son in his baseball game at 5:30. But he's also coaching my grandson in his basketball, soccer, and flag football teams. I have 2 grandkids. Ella is age 10. She's more of a dance athlete, not into the customary sports like football, well, like in her case, softball, and so on. But she loves doing dance. And Evan, he's age 8. He's a natural athlete. I love watching him. He loves all the sports and can be, very competitive when he's playing those sports. I have a daughter, Laura. She's a senior manager in marketing at Hologic Company in the breast and skeletal health division. And she played basketball and track in high school. And in the last 10 years, she's managed and coached many successful teams at Hologic. She's here tonight, too. My nominators, my niece Tammy and her son Michael, I want to thank you very much for nominating me for this award. Mike played football in Westerly in the Pee Wee system and at the high school for a couple years, and then went to Hendricken and told me tonight that they won 2 championships in the last couple of years at Hendricken. So I want to thank them very much for the nomination. I want to recognize my family as well, some of them here tonight. My brother Mark DeGangi, who's was an inductee back a few years ago. My brother Joe Rattaco. My brother Chris Rattaco. Those 2 guys coached John Luzzy and his buddies at that table in junior high school. And then they went on, Joe and Chris went on and coached high school at Charahoe. Chris did. Chris also played soccer and was very successful in his coaching career as well as Joe. Now, Joe and Mark also coached in the Pee Wee system, Pee Wee football system, here in Westerly, and they've had some good success with a number of kids, lots of kids in those years that they coached. So my sister Laura also, I wanted to talk about her because she was telling me a story that she was competing against the boys on the swim team when she was in high school. That was prior to Title IX as well. So her and I think Geraldine Cryan was the other girl, another woman, who were competing against boys in high school. So, that's just a little bit about my family and their careers, their coaching, their teaching. Actually, Chris Rattaco is a teacher at the high school at this point. So anyway, I was once asked what motivated me in my career and in my life. And my answer was coaching and teaching. I love doing that. It's in my blood. My dad was a coach here, coach and teacher at Westerly. And all of my brothers and sisters have all done that, coached and taught. There's nothing more rewarding than teaching skills to someone and watching them excel, whether it was at work or in sports. I mean, a lot of the other folks ahead of me said the same type of thing. So the other thing I need to tell you is I have special thanks to some of my early year coaches, the guys who created the Pee Wee football system, Rich, Louie and Tony Capuccio, Denny Marie, Joe Vaca, Brian DiMaggio. They were all my coaches in the Pee Wee system. 1965 was the first year I started in Pee Wee football. And that year we went 10-0 and won the championship. The other coaches I had in high school, Sal Argieri, everybody knows Sal, a legendary coach. Jim Galuscio was my coach in my junior year and my senior year. And then Jack Carson was my track coach. Another legendary coach right there, right? Thank you, Jack. Finally, I'm going to end with these words. Great teachers and coaches bring out the best in people, and what's important is being with friends as a team, as a family, and enjoying sports together. The other thing I want to do is give a shout out to the boys at table 14 over there. All those guys are my classmates from 1971, and many of them played sports with me, football, track, you name it. And there's a number of the guys right now, we're headed tomorrow for Lake Ontario to go fishing. Now, fishing is a sport. We've been doing that. Most of those guys that I'm going with tomorrow, we started fishing when we were kids. We went to kindergarten and grade school together up through high school. And we started going on these fishing trips 27 years ago, Joe? 29 years ago. So every year we get together and we travel someplace to go fishing, whether it's exotic fishing or just regular fishing. But we're going to Lake Ontario and going to try our hand at catching some salmon. So anyway, I was fortunate to grow up in an environment where there were many sports opportunities, great coaches, great programs, and great friends. So again, I'm honored to become an inductee into this elite group of athletes in the Westerly Sports Hall of Fame. And I do want to make special recognition for the 3 women who are being inducted tonight. It is very notable that women's sports have now become something that is very important in this world. So thank you very much for this honor, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Nice job. Nice job. Thank you. All right, my pleasure. I know you got it. Get your award. All right. Here you go. Our next inductee this evening will be Darlene Douglas Cretion. Introducing Darlene will be committee member and Hall of Famer Wendy Carr. Wendy?
One of the many reasons that I loved growing up in our community of Westerly, Rhode Island, was the ability to form lifelong friendships through athletics, as we've all discussed tonight. I had the privilege of playing high school soccer with Darlene, who we affectionately called Dougie, under the tutelage of Jack Carson, Coach Carson. In the 80s, there was limited opportunities for women in sports, so I always considered it a special gift to form these bonds with other women athletes. Darlene was a mentor, a teammate, a leader on and off the field, and a great friend. To know Darlene, you would know that after all the work was done, she always made time for a little mischief and lots of fun. Congratulations, Darlene. It's an honor to read your citation tonight. You, Darlene Douglas Cretion, graduated from Westerly High School in 1988. You played soccer, basketball, softball, and were a tremendous athlete in all 3 sports. As a soccer player, you were a starter all 4 years in high school. As a freshman, you were the leading scorer on the team with 21 goals, and you were selected All-South County second team. You led your... I think it died. Okay. Oh, it didn't. All right. You led your team again in scoring your sophomore year with 19 goals, scoring 4 goals in 1 game. That year, you were selected honorable mention on the All-League team. Your junior year, you were on the All-South County second team, and as a senior, you were co-captain of the team, and you earned All-Division first team and All-State second team. In basketball, you were only able to play 2 years due to a shoulder injury, but you started as both a freshman and a sophomore. As a freshman, you scored 60 points and 93 points as a sophomore. That same shoulder injury only allowed you to play softball for 2 years, but again, you started as both a freshman and a sophomore. You also found time in high school to help organize the Columbus Day Parade from 1984 and 1987. After high school, you attended Springfield College, graduating in 1992. While at Springfield, you were a co-founder of the women's rugby team program. You have had several other notable achievements throughout your life. As a young girl in the 6th grade in 1982, you won the Westerly Lodge of Elks Hoop Shoot Championship. You then went on to be the Rhode Island State Champion, making 23 out of 25 shots, and you came in 2nd place in the New England semifinals, again making 23 out of the 25 shots. More recently, you have become quite an accomplished golfer, winning the Pequot Women's Club Championship in 2010 and also in 2011. You were a former chemistry manager at Lawrence Memorial Hospital, and currently you are a laboratory information analyst at Yale New Haven Health. You and your husband Bruce live in Westerly and are the parents of 2 children, Brandon and Carly. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model, and in recognition of your many accomplishments to which you have brought pride and fame to Westerly High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Darlene Douglas Cretion, are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Wendy. That was awesome. I'm not a great public speaker either, so I'm going to read off of my paper so I don't forget anything or miss anything that I want to say. So firstly, I would like to congratulate my fellow inductees and thank the committee for this immense honor. I'm extremely proud standing here tonight among my family, friends, former coach, co-nominees, and Hall of Fame committee. I am humbled and honored to be inducted into the Westerly Athletic Hall of Fame alongside so many other talented athletes, and grateful to have played at Westerly High School, part of a past and present Bulldog Nation. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my coaches, Jack Carson, Scotty McGuire, Tucker Terranover, and Chris Reed, all of whom have had a great influence on me and my teammates, who just deserve as much recognition as myself. Since finding out that I was nominated, I've thought over and over again about what I would talk about. I have so many great memories and pride. I keep coming back to the same thing over and over: my neighborhood, growing up in backyard sports. I grew up on Tower Street with my 2 sisters on a family compound in a neighborhood with mostly boys that I played with. We basically played outside, anything that you could think of. We played on Top Street, we played in our backyards, kickball, wiffle ball, kill the guy with a ball. Thankfully, that one was not on Top Street, that was in the backyard. We played basketball, soccer, softball, baseball, anything. I would literally wait and look out my window every day for my neighbor to start bouncing the basketball, and I would run over every single day. We played for hours and hours on end, every season, rain or shine. We even used to shovel to play. He was a bit older, and I got beat on the daily, but I would go back because I was determined to be better. It's funny that most of my honors are soccer related, because most of my youth memories are of basketball. I remember getting ready for the Elks Hoop Shoot Championship that we just spoke of, practicing alone in the Armory with Coach Federico. I used to play on the boys' teams at the Y with Patty Federico and Dana Malagrino. We all stuck together, and we played on the boys' CYO league. Guessing there were only like 3 other girls in this league at the time. As you may know, a similar story with Patty Federico, a fellow Hall of Famer. My mom, like her mom, you may have heard a similar story about it, but my mom had to write letters to petition to get me to play on the boys' baseball and basketball teams. There were no girls in the leagues at this time, so there was no other choice. I am thankful for my mother, who got this done effortlessly. I played baseball in Farm System in White Rock and pitched in Little League for the FOP. Westerly Youth Soccer didn't even start. I think I only played 1 year because it just started when I, maybe 8th grade before I started playing high school. And I probably drove my neighbors nuts by kicking the ball against the house, the foundation, for hours and hours on end. And that was my old school bounce back. And now came high school sports with Jack Carson and assistant coach Scotty McGuire. The fun began with the preseason running and running and running and more running. At times we didn't even remember we were playing soccer because we were told to meet on the track only with our running shoes. Practices at Similary Field and the baseball field outfield. We piled as many kids as we could get in the car, and most of the kids sometimes were even in the trunk. Anything to get there and not be late so there wasn't any more running. I said, God, I actually thought I could have been a caretaker for Similary Field because I was so familiar with every anthill and the perimeter on the back field. If you weren't paying attention, take a lap. Crack a smile, take a lap. By far, I think I was the most conditioned. Thank you, Coach Carson. And I actually might mention that he liked me. I used to get in trouble at soccer for bouncing the ball and trouble at basketball for kicking it. One of the best parts of soccer, my soccer experience, was my team bonding on the weekends. Some of Coach Carson's neighbors might have thought he was moving, but it was just us putting for sale signs on his lawn many times a season. We never talked about this with him, but I'm sure that he knew. We literally put anything we could find on his lawn. Pumpkins, balls, hay bales, flamingos, construction barrels, anything that wasn't nailed down was in his lawn. It was a great tradition that actually got passed on to the underclassmen. But on a serious note, we had a very successful team, and that was Jack and Scotty's doing. True legends with old school tactics. We made the playoffs every year, and we were very proud of it. We worked hard, and we had a good time. Old school coaching like this has shaped me who I am, and I'm sure the rest of my teammates. We had very little soccer experience, and it was Jack who made this all happen. He pushed us to maximize our individual potential and learn to play as a true team. My successes would not have been possible without being part of such a great team with notable players like Wendy Carr, Liz Marone, who later went on to have a very successful soccer career at Quinnipiac, and fellow co-captain Risa Lewis. Another common bond that Jack and I had was Springfield College. Thank you for introducing me to your alma mater. At this time, when I was looking for colleges, there were no websites to look at, no tours to take. I just went on Jack's insight on this, and I applied and showed up in the fall. Here is where I ended up secretly playing rugby in an inaugural team. And when I say secretly, I mean from my family. I just didn't think they would understand that I had to Vaseline and tape my ears so I didn't have to have them ripped off in the scrum, or even if they even knew what a scrum was. What a great time I had. I am forever thankful for the memories created and the relationships I still have in my life, including my husband, Bruce. A really funny story, I hope you'll think, is an example of how Coach Carson's old school teaching style may have had an effect on me. When my daughter Carly was playing soccer, maybe about 4 or 5 years old, the whole family would go and watch her. And she kept asking to come off the field. Every minute she was just like standing next to us. We were like, what's going on? And I said to her, why are you coming off the field? She says, I want to come hang out with you. And I looked at her and I said, you don't ask to come off the field unless your legs are broken. So, thanks, Jack. Lastly, I'd like to thank my parents, David and Gloria Douglas, Bulldog class of 1958, for their untiring support, especially my mom and her incredible scrapbook that she kept for every sport and game that I played this. I share this honor with them. Thank you to my immediate sports-loving family, my husband Bruce, a college hockey player, my son and daughter, who are past and present Bulldogs with very successful Westerly High School athletic careers. Brandon, who has an all-division boys lacrosse honors and part of a 2019 state championship team. and Carly, who is Rookie of the Year, RIL, Girls Lacrosse, her freshman year. She will be graduating in June and heading to Florida to college to begin her sports college journey. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this highlight in my life and this honor.
I'd like to call on Principal of Wesley High School, Mike Holben, to introduce our next inductee, John Luzzy. Mike? You need this mic?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would be remiss if I didn't at least open by acknowledging what great, rich history there is in the room here. Wesley High School has been around for 152 years, and it's really remarkable to hear some great stories of the former days and current days at the school, and I certainly feel very honored to be a temporary guardian of a great institution called Westerly High School. So it's really been fun listening to some of the stories tonight. I have the distinct pleasure tonight of introducing our next inductee, a 1992 Westerly High School graduate, John Luzzy. John brings his family with him this evening, his wife Lisa, his children Lacey, Layla, and Giovanni. And when others have asked, who are you introducing at the Hall of Fame? I've been saying John Luzzy. Repeatedly, I have heard, he's such a nice guy. And he was a great basketball player. And I was really struck by the first comment that people would lead with, and it is really quite an honor to be an inductee into a Hall of Fame, but to be thought of as a really nice guy is a far better award, in my opinion. John's statistics speaks for themselves. He was a standout, ranked the 11th leading scorer in the 102-year history of Wesley High School is incredible. He joined the varsity basketball team as a sophomore, and he was the first player to earn MVP honors not once, but twice at the Westerly Community Credit Union Holiday Tournament. Many of you will remember that historic December 1991 night when John placed the last second shot nicely into the basket to beat Stonington, or the night that he nailed his 1,000th point. I'm told it was nothing but net. And these are the moments athletes train repeatedly for their entire life. I'm told John was that player who valued the name on the front of the shirt over the name on the back of the shirt. He played the game out of the love for the game, not for notoriety, fame, or fortune. During his time at Westerly High, John enjoyed the memories he created with his closest friends, the football and baseball games, the all-night grad party, the school dances. Since he was only allowed to play basketball, he learned to enjoy being the fan in the stands, a true OG of the dog pound. Along with his parents, he had a few adults who championed him during his formative years. He recalls a conversation with Mr. Morano changing the trajectory of his life. He realized that this guy was right. And during the 1992 Open Tournament, he was astonished to learn that the West Warwick coach was helping to recruit him to CCRI to play for Coach Cullen. That truly speaks to the type of athlete he was when a coach from an opposing team is trying to help him get to his next level. Why would an opposing coach promote a Westerly High School player? It turned out to be an experience of a lifetime. Grateful for the adults in his life, his parents, relatives, Coach Barber, Coach Dougherty, Coach Morano, Coach Cullen, John learned about the power of networking. The son of immigrants, John had a strong work ethic instilled in him at a very early age. When the time came to choose family over fun, John took a leave from CCRI to help his family with his ailing dad. After such a promising start at CCRI, John made some hard sacrifices. He did not forget his time at the Knight campus as he eventually returned and earned his degree in 1996. In the past 30 years, John has kept successful work in the public and private sector, and his networking skills have remained strong over the years that has led him to today, a successful employee at Electric Bolt. And as a result, you, John Lezzi, a 1992 graduate of Westerly High School, were a standout basketball player and fan in the stands at Westerly High School. As a freshman, you were integral in leading the team to a 27-1 record while becoming junior varsity state champions. You joined the varsity team as a sophomore, and you were named to the Westerly Community Credit Union Holiday All-Tournament team. Additionally, you were named to the All-Division team in other school years. During your junior year, you averaged 16.5 points per game and 8.7 rebounds. Once again, you earned all-division honors and were named the most valuable player of the Westerly Community Credit Union Holiday Tournament. During your senior year, you led the team in scoring, averaging 17.3 points and 10.1 rebounds per game. A second-time most valuable player, you became the first player to ever be named the MVP twice. On your watch, the Bulldogs never lost a holiday tournament game. You are a member of the elite 1,000-point club and one of only 14 men in the 152-year school history, scoring a total of 1,172 points in your career. Combined with over 800 rebounds, you rank as the 11th leading scorer of all time in Bulldog Nation. You continue to shine light on your career at the Community College of Rhode Island, where you led the team in three-point shooting, earned Athlete of the Month honors, and ranked 7th in the nation. Your 47% shooting accuracy from the three-point range led the Knights to a successful season, signing autographs all the way to the Sweet 16 of the Division III National Tournament. You and your wife Lisa live in Ashaway, Rhode Island, while raising 3 terrific children, Lacey, Layla, and Giovanni. In addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state for the positive influence you've had on others as a role model, and in recognition of your many accomplishments for which you brought Bulldog pride and fame to Westerly High School, you, John Lezzi, are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Coach? Thank you very much. Very kind words there. Good evening, everybody. To begin, I'd like to say congratulations to all the past inductees, as well as this evening's inductees into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame. It's well deserved. I'd also like to extend a sincere thank you to the Hall of Fame committee and congratulate them on putting on such a wonderful event. I had the honor of being invited here as a guest a few years ago to attend a good friend of mine's induction into this very hall. And I remember coming away from that night thinking to myself, my goodness, after almost 30 years, Westerly High School is still invested into their student alumni. And to me, that's what Westerly High School was and is all about. I must say that it all began for me with just trying to keep up with my older siblings. I'm the youngest of 4, and I want to thank them for being such good role models. Growing up with them, I was always trying to tag along, the fourth wheel, if you will. My mother has told me on more than one occasion in my life since becoming an adult, John, you should kiss the ground your sister Rose walks on. That little girl pretty much raised you while your father and I were working all those hours in the factories. So thank you to my lovely and amazing sister Rosaria. She's here tonight. To my brothers Fred and Angelo, who were responsible for the basketball fervor created in me while sharpening my skills as a youngster in the north end of Westerly. I thank you both very, very much. I have been blessed with my lovely wife of 16 and a half years, Lisa Claudette Luzzi, and our 3 beautiful children, Lacey Asunta, Layla Rose, and Giovanni Lucian. I am proud of you all, and I love you with my entire heart. It's been 30 years since I played my last high school game as a Bulldog, and as such, I have often looked back with many fond memories. The selflessness of the school's administration, teachers, coaches, employees, volunteers, loyal fans, as well as my many relatives, good friends, and teammates who I was fortunate enough to play alongside of. Along the way, they all, as well as my family, helped shape me and my game back in those days. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my parents' bravery and courage in deciding to immigrate from Italy to the United States of America back in 1972 in search of a better way of life. We learned that this is the land where if you can dream it, it can come true. With prayers, hard work, grit, determination, and the help of others. In acknowledging the latter, none of us got to where we are today without the help of others. Make no mistake about it, I am proud to say with my chin up and my chest out that I have received a lot of help. And now that I'm older, it is clearer to me that my parents did receive just that, help, which allowed them to succeed here in the best country on God's green earth. To my mother, who was not able to attend this evening due to a knee replacement, I would like to say to her in her own native tongue, from the foothills of Sericella, Ma, tanta grazie per tutte cose. Ti amo. In closing, I'd like to reiterate my thankfulness to those who helped me get to where I am tonight, and to also say to them that I do not enter this Hall of Fame alone, but with all of you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Very, very welcome. Congratulations.
Before you leave. Nice job, Mike. Thank you. We have two more inductees this evening. I'd like to call on Wesley High School Athletic Director and also a Hall of Famer himself, Jamie Vetolino, for those introductions. Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Morano. I'm extremely excited to be here and be a part of this event each and every year, but I'm especially thrilled to be able to introduce our last two inductees because they have a special connection with me in my own sports history. First, we're going to start with Coach Januszewski. And so back in 1993, I was going to be a senior in high school. Boys cross country team had not, we had not had a team, I don't know, since the 50s maybe. And we were excited to bring that back. And that was also going to be the first year that the women's team was going to have a cross country team. So we kind of began together, and that's when Coach Marianne started coaching. In that first year, and she brought this up the other day, you know, we did all the things that the teams do now, like pasta dinners, but we remembered how rustic it was. It was pasta, meatballs, bread, and every now and again someone brought a salad. I look at this year's pictures of the pasta parties these kids have, and there's like steak tips, and there's like marinated chicken. I have no idea what these families are doing or what they do for work, but it's amazing what they put on for our teams now. But we enjoyed those pasta dinners, just like I'm sure our kids enjoy their pasta dinners now. You, Marianne Januszewski, an outstanding Westerly High School coach, have brought pride and distinction to yourself, Westerly High School, and the community. Coach Januszewski was the first ever girls cross-country coach for Westerly High School. She started the program in 1993 at the same time boys cross-country was brought back to the school. At the time, females had only the following options to compete in sports: soccer, basketball, softball, outdoor track and field, and tennis had just started. Which had just started. Great. She had recently moved into town and jumped into Bulldog Nation with 2 feet. She spent the spring of 1993 as a volunteer coach with the outdoor track program and continued to do so for years. While gaining familiarity with the girls, she was able to keep them motivated over the summer to embark on this new journey in sport to the town. Year one proved to be successful as she coached the team to a 4-2 record and coached the Rhode Island Interscholastic League's champion, Emily Silvidio. Success continued with Coach Januszewski at the helm. In year two, the entire team qualified for the Rhode Island Interscholastic League state meet. The Bulldogs then qualified for the RIIL Open State Championships for the remainder of Coach Januszewski's tenure, 22 straight years. Along the way, the Bulldogs accumulated a dual meet win-loss record of 156-47. In addition, her Bulldog teams won 4 class championships in 2001, 2002, 2004, and 2006. They finished in the top 10 at the state meet 19 times, including 3 runner-up finishes. The Bulldogs also moved on to compete at the New England Championships 10 times. Under Coach Januszewski's leadership, Wesley had 2 individual champions, and 30 times girls earned 8 all-state honors. All this from a woman who was a high school sprinter. Coach Januszewski took up distance running while working in upstate New York, running with the Syracuse Chargers. Her love and passion grew for the sport, and by the time she moved to Westerly with husband John, she knew she wanted to use running to find new friends. She not only found that, but she used her passion to positively impact Bulldog girls as they grew to women for years. In that time, she and John raised 2 proud Bulldogs of their own, Sarah and Joseph. Coach Januszewski continues to coach and has been part of the Castleton College cross-country staff since 2016. For the positive influence that you have had on others, as a role model and in recognition of your many accomplishments for which you have brought pride and fame to Wesley High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Marianne Januszewski, are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Hi, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for all the time, energy, effort they put into making this evening possible for all of us. I also thank you for considering me and inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's really quite an honor to be alongside so many great student athletes, coaches, and others associated with the sports. I'm truly humbled. Thank you very much. So I have had the great opportunity, just unbelievable opportunity of coaching girls, young women in a sport that I just am very passionate about, cross-country running for almost 30 years. And it's just amazing how many great student athletes, girls I've met over the years, and not just them, but the parents, the grandparents, or friends that have come to the meets and supported not only the program, but myself as a coach. Every year has just been an experience that I'll cherish forever. And while I would love to mention a bunch of names and whatever, I'm surely going to forget somebody. So I just hope that everybody that I've coached over the year, their families, just know how much fun I've had with them and how much I appreciate it. But there are a couple that I do have to acknowledge. And one is George Silvidio. And it was probably about 29 years ago today that I met George and his very talented daughter, Emily, at the Elks downtown 5K road race. And he told me Westerly High School was starting a new program for girls cross country. Would I be interested in helping out? So, of course, I said yes. And it probably wasn't until many years later that I understood all that George did for me in those beginning years. I was new to the area. I wasn't familiar with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League or Westerly sports, and George seemed to know just who I needed to call or contact to get credentials, find meets outside the schedule, get transportation. I mean, he truly paved the way for me, and I'm not sure I'd still be here if it wasn't for all that help that George gave me over in those beginning years. And even as he moved on, I knew he was always just a phone call away. If I needed him for anything, I knew George would be there in a second. So thank you so much, George. I really, truly appreciate it. And another person, Dave Bell. Dave has helped me so much over my years at Westerly High School. Probably one of the most important roles he played, he had many hats, but he was my adult sounding board. I'd run ideas off of him. He helped me put together schedules, workouts for the girls. He took groups out on runs around the town, and he was a cheerleader at our meets. So the other wonderful thing about working with Dave is he shared the passion of running just like I did. So it was just a lot of fun to have him helping me out all those years. So thank you, Dave. I hope you know how much I appreciate it, you over those years. And I'd also like to thank my family, my husband, John, my children, Sarah and Joe. They were always very, very supportive of my job as a coach. And as anybody who's been here with coaching, you know that often during seasons, evenings and weekends are not your families. But whenever I was in cross-country season, they knew that that was my priority, and they were very supportive of it. I don't think I could have done it all these years without you guys, so thank you. And last, thank all of you for being here tonight and sharing this very special evening for me and the other inductees. I appreciate it, and I will say thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on our last inductee. So it's kind of both of my inductees are kind of first. That was the first year for women's girls cross country here at Westerly. And in 2004, 2005 was my first year as athletic director, and that was the first year that we had boys and girls swim. So, so both inductees today were part of firsts in Westerly history, which is outstanding. So Julie Stefanski, Porter. You, Julie Stefanski Porter, a 2006 graduate of Westerly High School, are the epitome of a student athlete. A 3-sport star in high school, you were ranked 4th in your class and were a member of the National and Rhode Island Honor Society. In addition, you served as class secretary for 4 years. In high school, you competed in swimming, softball, and cross country, earning accolades in all 3. You ran cross country and earned all division 3 times. As a softball player, you captained your team for 2 years, were selected all division 4 times and all state twice. Your swimming accomplishments are even more impressive. You were elected captain twice and earned all division honors twice as well. You were a 3-time all-stater in your senior year. You were chosen as the Rhode Island Interscholastic League's Swimmer of the Year. All told in 3 sports, you were captain for your teams 4 times. You had 9 all-division selections, 5 all-state honors, and an Athlete of the Year award. You are without a doubt one of the best Westerly High School has ever produced. After graduation, you attended James Madison University. You graduated magna cum laude in 2010 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Communication Science and Disorders. While at James Madison, you were on the swimming and diving team all 4 years, and you were captain your senior year. You earned the James Madison University Athletic Director Scholar Athlete Award. You were a member of the JMU NCAA Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and you were chosen for the Colonial Athletic Association Commissioner's Academic Award. You continued your education at Ohio State University, graduating in 2014 with a Doctor of Audiology degree. Currently, you and your husband Spencer live in Vermont with your son Wesley, and you are a Doctor of Audiology at the University of Vermont Medical Center. For the positive influences that you have had on others as a role model and in recognition of your many accomplishments to which you have brought pride and fame to Westerly High School, in addition to the honor and distinction bestowed upon our community and state, you, Julie Stefanski Porter, are hereby inducted into the Westerly High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the selection committee for this honor. I also want to congratulate the other Hall of Fame recipients tonight, many of whom I met this morning for the first time. When I received the letter that I was to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was deep in the weeds of postpartum life as my husband and I welcomed our son Wesley in late October. At a time when I was feeling the least like myself, this was a reminder that my body can do hard things. This honor has allowed me to pause and reflect on the memories, and I'm grateful for the experience of growing up in this community and participating in sports throughout my youth. I competed in 3 sports in high school: cross country, swimming, and softball, and all of these sports had different meanings for me, and I'm fortunate to have had wonderful coaches throughout that helped guide and shape my success. I began running cross country to spend time with my sister Kate, who's here tonight, and my best friends, including Sam Gorrich. It was also a way to get in shape for the swimming season. Mary Ann, who's honored tonight, was a wonderful coach, and I remember our success as a team led by some fellow Hall of Famers. Swimming was my passion growing up, and I continued to compete at the collegiate level. Carrie and Josh Butler, who are here tonight, helped us to advocate for the first swimming teams in Westerly High School history. They fostered the skills and work ethic that I'd need to swim at a high level, and they also reminded me to have fun at the same time. Softball was the most team-oriented sport that I participated in. We had a lot of team success, a lot of fun at the same time, and we never took ourselves too seriously. And some of my teammates continue to be my best friends to this day. I come from a family of athletes on both sides of my family. Many of my family members, including my father, are in the Stonington High School Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame, and my grandfather. My great-uncle, John Stellitano, is here tonight, and he's also one of the first members of the Hall of Fame, and he's here with my Aunt Mary. When I asked my father what he said at this moment when he had this honor, he said the following: my grandfather taught him 2 important things. 1, to perform in practice like you would in a game or a meet, and 2, always to have good sportsmanship. These are 2 things my father instilled in my sisters and I, and we all earn the respect of our teammates and coaches because of these values. Growing up, my sisters and I were so lucky to have 3 grandparents living throughout our high school years. They got so much joy out of attending our games and meets, and I know they'd be very proud if they could be here tonight. I want to thank my family members, especially my parents, Pam and Pete, who are here tonight, my mom, who is the biggest support and also did the sports boosters at the high school. I want to also thank my coaches that were here tonight, and I'm indebted to you for the support that you provided for so many years. Thank you again to the selection committee for this honor. And for this, I'm reminded that my body can still do some amazing things. Thank you.
Congratulations. Don't forget your award.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julie. That concludes tonight's ceremonies. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I hope you had a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you all again at a future Hall of Fame banquet. Good night, everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.